Hello, welcome to Orphan Espresso. I'm Doug.
I'm Barb.
And going to talk about rebuilding a Cremina, Olympia Cremina espresso machine using some of our OE updated parts. And just as a little background is that, how many of these machines have we done?
Dozens.
Maybe?
Yeah.
And during the process, you find little spots that you just wish were a little better, were a little easier. It occurred to me that when I see a machine that's completely out of maintenance, it's likely because the owner thought that it was too hard to fix some little problem. So we've come up with certain updates. Some of them make the repair job easier. Some of them it's just a better part. Generally, it's just a little more reliable for a rebuild. But I just would like to go over a few of the little quirks that we've added and to show you how to very easily improve the rebuild efficiency on your machine. So the first thing that we've done is we've changed the rubber gasket to a silicone gasket for the group. This is the group to boiler seal. What happens is, you get a good look at this, I don't know if you see it, Barb, but this seal in this position has a tendency to bake, and it bakes flat. And particularly if you have a machine that's been has an amateur rebuild, you've gone to the hardware store, about the only O-rings they have there are Buna N, and Buna N is rated at about 204 degrees. It's really not enough to stand up to the heat of the machine, and so you see that it just bakes flat. A lot of people ask, what's that charcoal thing in there? And we say, oh, that's the seal. But this is the result of an underrated seal over time. So what we've done, this is 700 degree Fahrenheit rated silicone. And this allows, really a nice thing is that it doesn't bake flat, and you can use it over and over again. You can take the group off and put it back on repeatedly if you need to maintain the group or to get in, pull the piston out. It's a lot easier to do with the group off of the machine. So this is basically, it has infinite reusability as far as I know. There is a little trick to it though, is that you can't just poke it in there and have it stay. See, it pops out, a little frustrating. So what you do with this thing is you hold it with your thumbs and you roll it backwards toward yourself and pop it in there. Whoop, now this side popped out. So you roll it, so when you push it in there, it stays flat. I don't want to break my sight glass, so I'm floundering here. But anyway, I take this, I hold it down with my thumbs, and I roll it backwards toward me with my thumb and forefinger until I get it to stay in there. And once it's in there, it's nicely seated. And it's ready to install once I put the siphon tube in. Now the next thing is sight glass, which a lot of people avoid the sight glass because you don't want to break it and you get all paranoid. And a lot of times the original rubber seal is a flat ring, and it's generally rubber. Sometimes you'll find it's upgraded to silicone, but it will as well bake, and it'll turn rock hard up in the top and down here in the bottom. Now I really like this approach because with these silicone rings, you take two silicone rings instead of the single flat. Some of your machines may have a little brass thing on it, brass washer that acts like a bearing, but it's not really that critical. And I push these into place. Once again, I'm kind of out of position here for the camera, but get around here. I push the rings into place in the sockets, upper and lower. Everything is clean and ready. This is a 1981 machine that I've removed the asbestos from the boiler with. Now the beauty of this is you take your, as they call this in the diagram, you take your stuffing box, which is the sight glass nut, and you squeeze out a little down 111, and you put that on the surface that's going to touch the ring and a little bit on the threads. You get it like this. and you actually get that started. Just one thread. You put it in position, and you get it squared up. You get it started. There. Now we got that one started. Not having the top one started makes it a bit clumsy on the old method of installation. So, once again, we'll put a little lubricant on the surface, not necessarily inside. You don't have to use a lot. And you just get it around there. And it always helps to clean the threads and to get everything worked out. But we'll come under the top one. And we'll get it started. I might have to move some of this stuff in order so I can see what I'm doing, but I've done this enough times I should be able to do it with my eyes closed, okay? Now, with this system, it makes it a very simple matter just to insert your sight glass from the top. Look at that. You just slide it down. Alright. Now, one of the keys to this, and if you can look in here in the top bar, you'll see when you look down into that safety valve housing, you'll see a small hole. Let me turn it so you can see it. There, I can see it from here. Do you see it there? This is the hole that feeds the center channel. And we want to have the top of the sight glass below that hole and seated in the bottom. A lot of people worry about breaking the sight glass as one of their premier things, but with this system, it really makes it nice because you just push it down with your fingers. You don't have to use a tool or anything like that. You make sure it's all the way down, and then you align the stripe to the back, just visually. Now the beauty of this is that if you get that stripe in the wrong place, when you put your front plate on and it's all crooked and you can't see the blue stripe because you put it in crooked, you can, with these silicone seals, you can just loosen these things up and move it around, and you can correct that mistake. So you make sure it's pushed all the way down, which it is. You align just visually by right angles. To me that looks straight. Now you take whatever 17mm wrench, whoops, that one came out of its start, and you go ahead, tighten these down. I'd have to hold that still, but there it goes tight, and you can feel this as it goes a little snugger and a little snugger, but it won't leak even if you have it not near tight. You still have a very nice seal with those nice soft, and it's a funny thing because they're not exactly soft, these silicone seals. They have a hardness rating of the same as the rubber seals. 70 Duro, I believe, isn't it?
That's correct.
But that's hardness. It's not compressibility. And so these turn out to be, turn this over to make sure I get this nice and tight, because after all, and I just do this by feel. And you can feel it's kind of like, oh, it's probably one of those things like when you bake a cake, right?
That's right.
I always call you over and I say, would you push your finger on top of this? I can't remember what it's supposed to do. And then you go over and you push your finger and you say, yeah, that's right, feels right. Well, it's the same way with these sight glass seals. Is that you tighten the nut. I might have to change wrenches. This one's kind of... You tighten the nut until it just feels tight. You can always go back, if you don't have it tight enough, once you power up and pressure up, you can always go back and give it a little more. Now, this is a real boon for me. We've started using these thick Teflon washers for this position. This is the pressure safety valve, and I really like this one. This is in replaces the copper crush washer, and that washer is sometimes so hard to get sealed. But this one, you just take it, and it's just like butter. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to hit it with a mallet. You don't have to worry about breaking the sight glass because you've twisted the frame. You just take it down with that nice Teflon seal. And the beauty, once again, is that you can reuse this seal over and over again. And once that's in place, if it's the copper, you don't want to go back because you can't reuse the copper. And if there are times that I've actually rebuilt a machine and there's been a little booger down here in the bottom channel. I filled it up with water and there's just been this thing floating in there and it just about breaks your heart. But in this case, all you have to do is take this out, back this off. Let's say you have a little scale in there you want to clean out. Take your brush and you're right back in business. You can reuse this seal over and over and over again. It's a very nice part, especially since, you know how I used to put these things together with the copper?
Yes.
And then I'd fill it up with water, turn it on, and it'd be squirting steam here and there, and I'd have to go back with a hammer and have you hold it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'd say, you hold it on that side and I'll stand on it with my foot. Well, in this case, beautiful.
I don't miss that.
I don't miss it either. No, this is beautiful. It's the first time through. It's perfect. Now the last, whoa. Now things get a little complicated. I only have so much time on these videos, but before you put the steam faucet on, you have to hang the front plate. I lost my front plate somewhere around here. There it is. This is kind of like a Julia Child. Aha, look at that, front plate. Okay, now when I hang the front plate on this is the first generation machine that has this top rail across it, this solid tree, and it takes an O-ring that you pop into this position. This seals one side of the faucet. You see, where's my faucet? The faucet, the water enters in this center, so it's sealed on this side and on this side. So the way I do this is I take this and just hang it in there, and that O-ring will generally maintain the faucet. So we push that in there. Now this basically has to all be assembled. You see how that has stayed in there? I think that's just really nice. Because once it's in there, okay, I come down here, find my 10mm, and tighten that until it is straight down. Okay, this might take a little bit of reorientation here. Is that there's an alignment issue, and when you're doing this, alright, let me get started. That back plate needs to be kept loose because you have the two bottom assembly. You see, everything is kind of feels like it's flying apart, but it's not. And you get these started.
Those are the group bolts you're putting in?
Right, these are the group bolts, and you just get them started because you can actually, if you hook that panel down with the bottom corners and this, you can get it out of alignment and you can actually tweak the panel a little bit. Oh, I'm almost out of time?
You're almost out of time.
Almost out of time. How much time is there?
About a minute and 5 seconds.
We get 15 minutes now, you know.
You've used 14.
You're kidding. Okay, well, alright. I gotta finish up real fast. So I put this on, my O-ring's in there. Now, this is a real good part. I got 1 minute to do this. This is like speed rebuilding. What I do in these times is I go ahead and use one of these Teflon guys. And I put it on there. And the Teflon seals the water, but it doesn't hold the faucet still. Got that started. And I put my copper on. And then I find my retaining cap. Where's the retaining cap? Where's the retaining cap? There it is. Okay. Now the Teflon seals the fitting, and the copper holds the thing in place. You hold
You're
this
done.
thing. I'm done?
Yep.
Okay, bang, bang, bang. There it is. I have a few more things to do, but you can see these upgrade seals, they're real nice.